Hey y'all, I'm Bree Outlaw and I'm a therapist working with clients on boundaries, performance, and those in high pressure environments. This week, I'm bringing a very sad story to you, but it's also necessary. It's something that should be covered and talked about, and that is the story of Kyren Lacy. He was a 24-year-old individual who took his life after a police pursuit because he was being wrongfully accused for a fatal accident. I'm going to give you more details and we'll give you a clinical dive into how I see this as a therapist, just as an individual, as a Black woman, as a mom. So let's get into it. But before we do, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Please get into this conversation. This is something that's really important and something that we need to bring more attention to. So Kyren Lacy was a 24-year-old. He was a former wide receiver for LSU football, and in April of 2025, he ended his own life. He did this after a police pursuit, and this was just a few days before he was set to sit in front of a grand jury. He had been accused of causing a fatal accident in December of 2024. This was all over the news. I remember when it first came out, social media everywhere. I was scrolling and saw it on TV. Everyone was talking about this case. So it was something that was massively highlighted. It was a big public case. Lacy was a potential NFL draft pick for the following year. So he had a lot of pressures going on amidst being accused of causing this accident. Sadly and very unfortunately, just last week, there was footage that was made public, and it shows Lacy's vehicle driving past the accident.
At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
That's that green car there, the green one seen at the end. Lacy's lawyer says he was more than 70 yards away from the crash when it happened.
Mind you, he had been accused of fleeing from the accident, but in this video, you see that Lacy's car is far behind the accident, and so he had no linkage to this. His attorney had said this, he had said this, so it was something that they had publicly said and made clear, but social media, all of the loud voices that comes with, all of the articles that were continuing to spin this story and create this narrative that he was a thug, that he did this crime and caused this individual to lose their life when he indeed did not. Yeah, he was publicly accused, he was humiliated. All of this pressure, all of these loud voices of people saying that he did this crime. This goes to show that social media versus reality and even status, even though this kid had so many dreams that were about to be unlocked before him, literally within months, he couldn't even hold on. All of the hard work, all of the practices, all of the long hours, all of the mental work he had to do to be an LSU athlete and then to be a potential draft pick, none of that mattered in his last moments. All of the weight of the lies that people were telling is what led him to take his own life. Mind you, he knew what happened. He knew that he didn't cause this accident, but everyone's opinion of him, that's what sat with him at night. And that's clear because he's not with us here today. I want us to cut over to this clip of his attorney talking about the case and giving us some more details about what it was like to work with Lacy. You'll note that in this clip, he says that Lacy was crucified by the public, that they portrayed false narratives and false images of Lacy, that he was portrayed as a thug, all of this narrative around a Black man, and he makes that clear in a very subtle way. So let's take a look at that.
This is undoubtedly the worst case I've ever come across in my legal career. Nothing has pissed me off more than this case from day one. start by saying a man was tragically killed in an accident. Let's not twist this any more than it is. Mr. Herman was a good man. There is a proper platform for when those types of things happen. And in this case, it was not and is not criminal court. Let's be very clear on that right now. I will never, ever budge on that position. A grand jury was set today for the whole public to know not once, yet to this day, has anybody ever said anything otherwise than the district attorney's office in Lafourche Parish has yet to this day to accept formal charges. Let that sink in. We were set for grand jury today. I am privy to so much information that no one has. To get a report is a report. You know how many cases we get reports on that ultimately end up in acquittals? This one never even got past a grand jury yet. And they crucified this kid. And when I mean crucified in a manner I cannot describe, I had these talks with him where you're trying to calm it down, say, man, turn it off. Let me take the heat. I got thick skin. You got a problem with me on social media? Come at me. Who cares? They know nothing about this other than what was portrayed in an initial report that they're pieced together. They have no idea what I know now. They have no idea what was about to come out. And ultimately, I assure you, will still come out. This is just, I'm infuriated. And that takes nothing from the loss of Mr. Herman. Let's be very clear. A good man, a good family. I get it. There's a civil suit filed. That is the platform. Mr. Herman didn't ask for, you know what I mean? They had nothing to do to concoct this story. There's reasons all this happened. I know what they are. And it really has nothing to do with that side of things. But the media didn't see it that way. The media, the same media, you know how upset he was? Every mugshot that was placed on there, you couldn't give him the courtesy of the 5,000 other pictures he had. You put him in a jumpsuit as if he was a thug and if he was this awful kid. The whole thing is wrong. And we were just about to show the world.
So I think that he lacked advocacy. I would say that he needed more mental health support. And it brings it brings light to the issue of Black men and not really having a safe space to explore shame, fear, doubt. My guess is that he probably felt like I'm telling my truth and people still aren't believing me. So what else is there that I can do? Like, he might have felt like he didn't have any options or any resources or even mental health tools. So I would ask, where are the staff at? Where were the LSU staff that could step in? And again, this is just off of assumption. I don't know if he had a therapist. I don't know if he had that support. And sometimes people have that and still choose to end their lives. But this is just something that brings kind of like a little light bulb in my mind when looking at his story. I also think that this was a manhunt. I think that social media, the news, if you look online even at the old articles that were placed about him, it all talks about Kevin Lacy accused of a crime, Kevin Lacy in a fatal accident. Like, it hints at him being the person that caused this, when in reality we all know now that that's not what happened. I also think that in these moments when men, and especially Black men, are going through this, it can feel like therapy might just be another thing that's too much to add. And I really want us to find a way to break that down, because therapy is supposed to alleviate those pressures. Initially, it might feel like an added pressure or an added chore, but therapy is there as a tool. And I really wish that he would have had a team or had the right person in front of him to alleviate those things. I know his lawyer talked about them having a lot of conversations, and I'm sure that was some sort of safe space for him, but he clearly needed more safe spaces. And his dad talks about that in a tweet that he made, and I'm going to read that. It says, young parents, start talking to your kids at a very early age and make sure they are confident and comfortable confiding in you. Don't be cool with "I'm alright" or "I'm good" when you know deep down something isn't right. Mental health is real, and for the most part, it's invisible, which is true. Don't ignore the signs, even if they seem small. Our lives have changed forever, and this will never be okay. But God needed my baby more than he was needed here. This has to be the biggest pill our families have had to swallow, but I know that the love and compassion in our families will get us through. This will never get easier, but we'll learn to live with it. Check on your kids' mental with like 10 exclamation points. This makes me emotional, being a new mom, having a son of my own. You don't want them to hurt. You want to protect them from everything. I'm new to this parenting, but I want to protect him from everything. So that's hard to read. In this tweet, you see that his dad also mentions that, where I said it's true, sometimes mental health declines it's invisible, it's hard to spot. Some people have high functioning depression where they go to work, they have drinks with friends, they call people. They're not the ones that withdraw and isolate and are super depressed and are making suicidal comments. It can be very hard to spot, but it can be, probably looking back, and what it sounds like in Kenny Lacy's tweet is that looking back, there probably were moments where things were slightly off that he wishes he might have tapped into just a little bit more. I think something also to consider is that Kyren Lacy took his life at the end of a police pursuit. And in those last few moments, I just wonder what some of his last thoughts might have been, of like not feeling like he's good enough. Like I mentioned earlier, feeling like he's already told his truth and nobody believes him, feeling like his voice didn't matter, like he was silenced. He probably heard all of the loud voices, all of the loud media. I think that's another call to action, that media could have advocated for him more as well. And just feeling like he worked so hard for his dreams to come true and they were being shattered before his eyes. Him not being invited to tryouts around the time of the draft. All of these different things that impacted him on a real deep, traumatic way. And being falsely accused of a crime by the public, that's a traumatic experience that Kyren Lacy faced and unfortunately lost that battle. I just want to end by saying that Kyren Lacy's voice matters. It mattered then and it still matters. This should be a call to action for all of us as bystanders, as people that are involved and influenced by social media, to always check the other side of the story, to try to advocate for the other side of the story, to work on our own mental health as well. Kyren Lacy was a son. He was someone with dreams. He was someone that worked hard, and he was someone that struggled. And I think that we need more spaces for Black men especially, and athletes to express shame, fear, doubt, and to protect their identity and everything they've worked really hard with their character and who they are as people. If you or someone that you know is struggling with suicidal ideation, depression, or anxiety, I highly recommend you to reach out to 988 or the National Suicide Hotline. Also check on local nonprofits in your area. Many of them offer free therapy, classes, and different support. Thank you for tuning in. I pray that Kyren Lacy rests peacefully and that his family gets justice. Y'all have a great one.